Welcome to another episode of our Inner Sparks featured stories. I am Lily Yan, your host of this podcast and founder of our Inner Sparks Network, a network of ordinary women sharing our extraordinary stories to inspire and empower each other and others. Women take ourselves for granted and do not often give ourselves credits or see our own values. We must celebrate our successes, help support, and inspire each other. In this episode, we'll be chatting with Zumba instructor Dianne Raposo. She brings great enthusiasm in each of her classes and demonstrates full confidence in every dance she leads. Her Zumba classes are full of energy, laughter, and sweat, with a twist of sexiness. I think she's one of the most beautiful and sexy Zumba instructor ever. As I previously mentioned, I embarked on a journey of self-care and self-love about 2 years ago. I wanted to commit to some regular cardio exercises as my doctor recommended for years. I tried swimming, running, biking, but nothing stuck. At that time, I had low physical self-confidence. I would say overall I'm a pretty confident person. However, that's somewhat more on the intellectual level. The skills I have, the capabilities I have, I'm pretty confident with that. But when it comes to self-image, due to the negative reinforcement in my life earlier on, I have pretty low physical confidence. Then I discovered Diane's Zumba class at a local crunch gym. Before I entered the class, I was super nervous, extremely conscious of my shape and ability to keep up in the class. I've never done Zumba before. I wondered if people would laugh at me. What if I can't keep up? Then I walked in the class. I was surprised. You see, Dianne has a heavier build, and upon my arrival in the class, she stood in the front and introduced herself to some of the new people like myself. She mentioned her own struggle with weight and her journey with Zumba and how much she benefited from this. Hence, she wanted to impact others positively through Zumba. During her class, I quickly realized Dianne and the other ladies in her class, although all different sizes, age, and cultures, they all had a few things in common. In that 1 hour together, they all have the I am so beautiful and sexy and I know it attitude. And they work so hard on the dance floor and putting it all out there. Everyone finishes her class feeling bold enough to take on the world for the rest of that day. I was hooked immediately after the first class because I want to feel like that. I want to extend that confidence beyond that class. I've been consistently going to Diane's class on a weekly basis ever since. I'm so thrilled Dianne is able to join me today to share her story with all of you. Now, let's get to our featured story today. Hi, Dianne. How are you?
I'm good, Lily. How are you?
Very good, thanks. Thank you very much for joining us today and sharing your story.
Thank you for having me. This is exciting for me.
That's awesome. So to start us off, would you give us a short introduction of yourself and tell us a little bit about how you got onto this journey with Zumba?
Okay. I got into this fantastic world of Zumba, is the way I describe it. I was introduced to Zumba in 2012 by my sister, who took me to a class at the YMCA. Reluctantly, I went.
It took some convincing?
It took a lot of convincing.
Oh, really?
It really did, because I was very, very self-conscious in the beginning when I first started. And I got into it and I went to the gym because I was at the top of my weight. I was nearly 600 pounds. And I needed to do something for myself to get myself healthier for my children and for me. I needed to be here for them when they grew up.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot of motivation there.
Yeah, there was a lot of motivation, and there still is, to keep going. My sister took me to class, and I went. I walked in, and I stood at the back of the class because that's how self-conscious I was. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to see the mirrors. I didn't want to see anything. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to go and see what it was all about and see if this is the way I was going to start to go on my weight loss journey.
Right.
So the class begins, and I am mortified.
Oh, no.
Mortified because I am obviously at the top of my weight again, as I said, and I'm usually a pretty good dancer.
Right.
So I was always a dancer when I was a kid. I was in folk dancing and that kind of thing.
Right.
So I knew I had rhythm. I just didn't know I had that kind of rhythm. So I was like, okay, take a step back. And I left that class and I was upset. But I kept having that in the back of my mind saying, no, I need to come back. Because I hear that, once, twice, you'll get into a rhythm of it.
Okay.
And my sister, as we got into the car, she's like, so how did that go? And I'm like, I don't know yet. But we have to come back. I have to come back.
Mm-hmm.
I love the music. I love the atmosphere. It's like a party in a gym.
It is. It really
right?
is.
And it's kind of like you forget when that music turns on. You kind of forget where you are and you kind of feel like you're somewhere tropical. At least that's the way I feel.
Right. It certainly does. I mean, it has that effect with that type of music, right?
Right. So. It feels like you're, somewhere in the Caribbean or somewhere in South America or something like that, where it's, you get lost in the Spanish music and the rhythms and that kind of thing.
Right.
I left that class and I was upset at myself because I wasn't able to do certain things. And I thought, okay, it'll eventually come. We'll come back. So 2 years later, no, it was a year and a half later, I decided, okay, I love this. I am enjoying it. I could follow the instructors really, really well. I started losing the weight. And, by that point, a year in, I had lost probably about 100 pounds.
Wow. That's significant.
Yes. It was incredible. And that kind of motivated me more to just keep going.
Of course.
Because I'm like, okay, so it's working. So I'm dancing and I'm loving what I'm doing. I'm forgetting, about whatever else is happening outside of the gym.
Right.
And
you forgot the like you said, you're actually almost in a destination.
Yes.
And you're not thinking about your reality that you're handling and dealing with in that moment, right?
Absolutely. It's that you try to leave whatever you're dealing with outside of that door at the gym.
Yeah.
And when you come to my class, it's like I'm taking you on a trip around the world.
Right.
With a different music and to a different place, to what I call, in my own words for myself, is this is where I am, who I am. I am the diva.
Nice.
So I'm going to be that diva. And the music is going to help me to get there.
Right. So question for you, when you said, a year and a half later, you started to love it. Now, how many classes did you get to the point you go, because you went the first time and you didn't like it and you didn't enjoy it, and you want to give it more chance. How many times did you go before it started to turn around for you, that you started to go,
My aha moment.
Yeah.
I think my aha moment was when I could actually do something physically that I didn't have to modify. For example, a jumping jack. I didn't have to modify a jumping jack to a half jumping jack. It was a full jumping jack. And I'm like, yep, this is where I'm going. And then the ladies from the Y, who some of them are at Crunch now, they had been trying to convince me to go and instruct when I thought, no, I'm not going to go because I'm not ready. I can't do it. And I don't want to steal my sister's thunder. And because she was already an instructor.
Okay.
And I thought, I don't want to steal anybody's thunder. I'm okay. I'll be okay as a participant. And then finally my sister sat me down and she's like, you know what? Just do it. You love it more than I do.
Oh, that's so nice though. She's so encouraging.
Yeah, she was. She still is. My sister is my rock.
Oh, nice.
So she is my motivator. So she got me to go and get registered. So I finally said to myself, you know what? I'm going to just do it.
So about a year and a half into this?
Right. So it was June 21st, 2013.
Oh my goodness, it's a special day for you.
Yeah, and every year around that same time, it's kind of like, check mark, I'm, 7 years into it. I'm 6 years into it, whatever it may have been.
Nice.
And so that's when I decided to go and got my Zumba license. That's where I am now.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. You went from didn't like it to you enjoying it, you're starting to see benefits, and then to participating regularly, then go, actually, I want to do this as a career. What was the motivation internally? And did you have anyone else that you're doing it for?
My motivation were my boys. It was a lot of Diane, you have to put yourself in this mindset of you need to be here for these boys. There's 3 of them, and they need you. In my mind and in my soul, they were my motivators. The external motivation was I'm starting to see my body change physically. And I'm like, okay, so it's working. It's working for me. So if it's working for me, it'll work for somebody else. Who else can I help?
That's awesome.
And so that had a lot to do with it too.
Right.
It was the motivation to want to be able to help and inspire and you know, maybe that one person that was just like me at the back of the class comes back once and it's kind of like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then, you know, comes back a second or third time.
Right.
And I usually say to my participants, as you've heard, it takes about 3 weeks to kind of get into the rhythm of Zumba.
Yeah. Actually, that's one of the things that I was nervous about. Like I said in the intro, right? I was worried I can't keep up. I was worried other people would look at me because I don't know what I'm doing, or even that I look, in my mind, I look ridiculous. Like,
not
right?
at all. That's,
right? But
and
that's,
everybody
I think,
has that.
Yes.
That misconception is I'm just going to look like a fool.
Yeah.
When you go into a Zumba class, you're supposed to forget about what that is on the outside.
Right.
You're supposed to get lost in the music, get lost in the choreography, and be sexy.
Yeah. And loosen up, right?
Exactly, and loosen up. Because in the society that we live in, sometimes it's been told to us it's not okay to be that way. It's not okay to be a self-confident woman who can move and dance and express herself that way.
Right.
And be sexy.
Yes.
Because we're allowed to be sexy.
And coming from a culture, I think I come from an old culture, right? Chinese culture. That is not something that we're taught ever.
Portuguese people are the same way too.
Right? So for me, that was like a first. I come in and I'm like, oh my God, look at all these women. They all so confident. They all look beautiful and they all know it. And in that moment, in the dance, they are enjoying that moment. That's it, like you're saying, right? Like it's just right in the moment. And that's very admirable. Like if you can take somebody there, it's almost a relief. Let go of a lot of weight. And I'm not talking about physical weight.
Like
a lot of mental weight that you're carrying around, that message that you had in your head. You're starting to put that down and go, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy that 1 hour that I'm there.
Exactly. I'm going to do this and just forget about the craziness of the world.
Right.
I'm going to be who I want to be in this moment for 1 hour.
Right. Exactly. So I guess we talked a little bit about your style, kind of alluded to that, right?
Yep.
Like I said, when I come into your class, I feel not only fit, I feel sassy and sexy. With that, can you give us a description of what it's like to be in a Zumba class with Dianne? Just articulate to people, what are they going to see when they come in and experience?
What they first see, obviously, is the physical. And that's one thing that always throws them off a little bit.
Right.
Like you had mentioned.
I did.
They walk into my class and they see a full-figured woman and they're like, what? No.
Yeah. Well, my reaction wasn't that, but
right?
Yeah.
But and in most cases in all of my classes, I must say, welcome everybody with a smile.
Absolutely you do.
And say hello, I introduce myself. And a class with me, best way I can describe it is you get lost in the moment. The music turns on and everything else around you gets forgotten except for that rhythm that comes out in that music.
Right.
I would describe my class as fun. You are getting lost to you and not to anybody else. It's just you. In my classes, I like being silly and sassy and fun. And I think that's what people enjoy. I enjoy it because I'm silly and sassy and that's how I am.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's just have fun and let's sweat while we're doing it.
Right.
Because we do.
Absolutely. There are times I know you come into class and you're a little bit low energy. And I know maybe because you've taught so many classes the day before or that you've had other things going on or you're not feeling well. But I can see it, and I've talked to other people about this too. They're like, we can see, obviously she's low energy, she comes in, but the moment the music is turned on, she is on. Like it's just like
that is one thing that everybody's commented on with me.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I do. I'll walk into that class and I have my struggles just like everybody else does.
Yeah.
You know, I may have had an argument with one of my children before that, or I may have had something go on at home, and I'm still carrying that with me.
Yeah.
And sometimes I forget that I'm leaving that at the door. So when the music starts, that's my trigger. I think that's the part of Zumba that I love the most is that trigger for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not here to bring in the negativity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to shut that off, bring in as much positivity and love and dance and music to my classes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why I kind of like, okay, the music turns on and I'm like, whee, let's go.
It is awesome. And this is why a lot of us enjoy it, because we come in, we know we're guaranteed to be taken somewhere else, like you
Right.
said, and ready to have a party. It
Exactly.
really is a party in
It
there.
is.
And I know
Great
sometimes
way of describing
yeah,
it.
you would come over. Sometimes you come over to me and start moving. I'm like, at the beginning, I was like, oh, what's my next move? Like I'm copying you. I don't know what I'm doing.
That's okay, because we have our moments too. You've
Right.
seen them.
But then now that I'm getting more used to the steps, I'm like,
Right.
oh, okay, well, I just make it up as she comes over, and I'll
Right.
just
And
dance with her.
That, as an instructor, watching your participants, your students have that moment too
Mm-hmm.
of, wow, I just got that.
Yeah.
How many times did it take me to get there? I love seeing that. For me, that's the best part of teaching is
Mm-hmm.
being able to see the elation on someone's face when they get it,
Right.
when they get the choreography or they're going in the right direction. Because sometimes what happens is I'll go left and you guys will go right. To see the participants and our students being able to get the choreography, I get excited.
Yeah.
And you'll see me smile throughout my class because that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that, oh, she just got that move that she's been struggling with for forever.
And I still have one, like a year and a half later. I
Right.
still have one, I know. And it looks simple, but I look at it and go, I can't do it. I still struggle with it, but that's okay.
But that's
and So,
okay.
and so I do something different. If I
Right.
can't, do that, I do something different to keep up with the music.
Yep.
And I remember when I first started, there was one lady said to me, remember, if you're starting from scratch, you're never going to keep up at the beginning. So don't
No.
worry about it. Don't
Yeah.
even have that as a weight on
Exactly.
yourself. Just and decompose it. And she says, maybe you can do the arm instead of the leg, and that's okay. So just move your arms around the same way
Exactly.
everybody does. Or if you feel the legs are more easier to follow, then do that.
Yep.
And then eventually, she says, you're gonna get all of it together. It's so true. Like I don't sweat about it. After talking
Right.
to her a little bit about it, it's like, oh, I'm not gonna sweat. If I cannot get it, like you said, I will have a chance again later, another time,
That's
and then
true.
again, right? You'll just keep on working on it.
That's right.
And I know you, especially, you stop the class sometimes and just to teach us the steps.
I do.
Yeah.
When I see that there's a bit of a struggling move, sometimes I will, just after we finish that song,
Right.
I'll kind of say, okay, because I see it.
Right.
I don't want someone to be like, well, she's not showing us the move.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to break it down so that you're able to do it at your full potential.
Right.
So that's why, like on Sunday, I think it was, I
Yeah.
stopped to show you what the Zumba move was.
Right. Right.
And to me, it was kind of like, okay, I'm seeing that they're struggling with it. Let's pause the music here.
Right.
Let's bring it down so that you're not so overwhelmed
Right.
with it. Right. And I think that also helps for someone to feel confident when they come into Zumba, is being able to take it and break it down. Although we're not supposed to do that in Zumba, but I do it
Mm-hmm.
because I find that look, that blank look on the face that we get every once in a while, which is absolutely normal. The blank look, it's kind of like, okay, that's my trigger to me as an instructor from you guys saying, okay, let's break it down. And that's why I stop
Yeah.
every once in a while, is do a check-in with everybody and be like, okay, so how do you feel about this move? Especially when we bring in new music.
Right.
When we bring in new choreography, it's kind of like, okay, we go through it so fast, but I also want you to be able to get it,
Right.
right?
I find that very helpful whenever you stop and then decompose it for us step
That's
by
good
step.
to hear.
There's always going to be people who are a little bit more advanced,
Right.
but I think they should appreciate the fact that there are people who are beginners, because it's a really all-level
Of course,
class.
it really is.
It's great. In terms of the energy, you leave the negatives outside the door and then you are just enjoying the moment and being yourself. That energy of the fun, the confident, and the positive that you're getting from the class, do you find that then it extends into your real life?
It carries with me.
Yeah.
After I have had, let's say, leaving all that negativity out the door, and I walk into the class and I see everybody smiling and ready to go, and getting that energy from everybody else, because it's a two-way street, right? As an instructor, our job is to give you that energy.
Right.
But it's your job as participants to give us that energy too, so that we can walk away from that going, oh my gosh, that was a great class. And then you carry that with you for the rest of the day,
Right.
or the rest of the week, or to the next Zumba class.
Mm-hmm.
I've had many people say that to me, that thank you, because I am taking this away with me and it's making my day that much better.
Yeah.
And that's what I love to do, is being able to take that, give it to you like that, and be able to take it out of the class and still have that energy and that feel of happiness, self-confident, strong women.
Yes.
Or men, because there are some men in our classes
Yes.
too.
Yes.
So
Yes. Absolutely. I'm starting to feel that way too. Like at the beginning, I was saying, I would love to feel like that all the time.
Right.
Because how I feel in the class, right? At the beginning, it's like, oh, I don't know. When I'm out, I'm still very timid and worried
Right.
about what other people are going to think. And slowly, it's like, oh, well, you know what? I can get used to this.
sometimes you're going to be in the grocery store
Yeah, it's
dancing like I do.
Well, well, sometimes the music come up in the car, and I'm all of a sudden wiggling my butt.
It's called choreography.
Right.
That's what we call it.
I know that you do a program at a high school level, and you
do.
go in and you teach them Zumba. And this is all gender. Everyone get together in a
Yes.
class. Tell us about the program and
Okay.
how you got involved.
I got connected through Zumba.com page. And someone from Monsignor Doyle had sent me an email.
Yeah.
She's just wondering if you're interested on coming in to teach grade 9s,
Right.
grade 9 girls at first.
Okay.
So I went in and I did my first full day of grade 9s, and then in the morning, it was just in the morning, the grade 9s. And then I got grade 10s, 11s, and 12s in the afternoon.
Oh, wow.
And it's 4 classes, so it's their 4 gym classes, full 4 hours of Zumba.
That's a lot.
So yes, by the end of the day, you're kind of walking to your car thinking, oh my gosh, I need help to get to the car. I don't know if I can sit down.
Because I don't know how you do it, because one class is exhausting for us.
Yes. You pace yourself.
Yeah.
You pace yourself. As an instructor, you learn to pace yourself, and you find your triggers. You tread lightly here because you're going to be doing this song three more times.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I got into Monsignor Doyle. They had me in, I think it was about 6 months into my licensing. I love doing the high school level. And I went in with my own misconception too,
Okay.
thinking,
What's that?
okay, I'm going to go in there. They're going to see a full-figured instructor, and they're going to be like all over me like a hot cake.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, oh, I don't know about this. So
Especially at high school level.
Right,
Right, you
because
think
in
it's-
high school, we know how high school
Yeah.
can be.
We went through that ourselves.
Like I said,
Yeah.
I have 2 kids now. One's out of high school, and the my 14-year-old is in
Right.
high school. And you know how cruel sometimes they can be at school.
Yep.
And I think I had that mentality as I was there, just before getting there. And then when I started my classes, I do it like I normally do every class.
Mhm.
I introduce myself. I tell what my story is, about the weight loss journey that I've been on, about Zumba being my passion and my love and my flavor for life.
Right. I like that.
And-
Flavor for life.
Flavor for life, that's what I call it. It's the spiciness.
That's good.
From that point that I start to tell them what the story is,
Yes.
I can see the switch
Yeah.
that I've done. Just by taking that 5 minutes of that 1 hour class right in the beginning, everybody else was open to it. And now, 6 years later,
Right.
I go into the same school. Some of my kids who I've taught from grade 9
Right.
come to the classes at Crunch. I will have kids who were on their spares that have done Zumba with me before, and they'll come in and do Zumba.
Mm-hmm.
So they get super excited and super energetic when they see me roaming through the halls. They're like, oh, we're doing Zumba today.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, going in there is a lot of fun. And I always come with a little warning of it's going to be sexy. It's going to be sassy. I am not changing my format for Zumba in any way, shape, or form,
Uh-huh.
because this is how I want to represent the Zumba name,
Right.
right? So doing that, and the teachers are absolutely fine with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's exciting and it's fun and they love it. So now I teach right from grade 9 to grade 12.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And like you said, girls and
boys. And it's interesting because
I was going to ask you, what do you see the difference?
You do.
Okay.
I thought going into it, I was thinking, okay, the boys are going to be the ones that are not on board. Some of the girls were, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, some of them, it'll be hit and miss.
Right.
I went in there and it was a co-ed gym class. And I'm looking at these boys and they're excited about it. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, they're just mocking. In my mind, I'm thinking, oh, they're just joking around.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. That music went on, and the boys were more on board than most of the girls.
Oh, wow.
Because I think with the girls, it's that whole thing of, no, I'm not going to move that way.
It's self-consciousness.
Right.
Yeah.
That self-consciousness and that whole feeling of, I don't think so.
It's interesting how early that starts, Because
Yeah.
I think, I look back at my daughter when she was in like elementary level and she goes to a dance class. She didn't care what other people was, thinking and looking.
Exactly.
She doesn't care. She's just enjoying herself. But then at a certain point in your life, you start to pick up this, well, no.
Maybe that's not okay.
Yeah, maybe I don't look good doing that, right? Yeah, and it's surprising how early that starts. But for high school, for sure, I think it's a very conscious age.
You catch them. I think grade 9 is when you catch that moment, that exact moment of they just came out of grade 8. They're still kind of like, okay, it's still okay to kind of do that.
Yeah.
They hit grade 9 and it's like somebody's watching me, so I'm not doing it.
Right. So how do you turn that around?
I actually say to them when we're just getting into the class, I will say to them exactly like I say in my regular classes. Mm-hmm. Whatever you're dealing with, whatever it is, whatever fight you just had outside that door with a friend, non-friend, bully, whatever it may be, when you come into this class, that gets turned off. And you are not going to care who is in front of you, behind you, beside you. You are just going to lose yourself in this moment. And I want you to be able to enjoy this class. And it's, sure enough, it happens. And everybody starts dancing and they start hooting and hollering and, hey.
I know. You definitely know how to work the crowd.
Thank you.
In terms of working the crowd, there's always so much energy that comes out of you, and it projects out. Sometimes you're like, oh wait, I'm not hearing it. You guys need to get it.
Like, it's not.
Where is it?
Ear.
Hello? Yeah, I can't hear it yet. People respond to you. I feel like a lot of times you have this, I guess, range too. Like there are movements, like you're moving very little, and you're emphasizing it's actually a small movement here. And then you get to that exaggerated movement or the bigger movement.
Right.
And then going to the next step, which is like, fist in the air and we're shouting, ah!
Right.
And the whole gym goes off. And when it goes off, it's like, wow, that energy that we just created is just amazing.
Yes. When that happens, because it's like my heart is full.
Yeah.
And I think that is what drives me a little bit.
Yeah.
And it keeps me going with my energy because I'm getting it from the class
as well. Yes.
So it's easier for me to bring it out when I'm getting it back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I like that though. Like, when you're inspiring other people, you get the reward back when you see, the, like you said, the twinkle in their eyes, or when they get it, or
where
all
it's
of that.
Like, ooh, I just did that. And their eyebrows raised and their eyes open, and it's like, okay, they have it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the high school students once they go through that experience.
Right.
Afterwards, did they ever talk to you? And what did they
They
got
always
out of it?
come up to me after that class, and they will say to me, "Thank you for coming."
Okay.
I've had a couple where they'll come up to me and be like, "How can I go and get my Zumba certification?" And I'm like, "Your Zumba license? Well, you go on the website and you find where they're doing licensing, and you go and get it done."
Oh, you inspire so much that they want to do this.
I love that.
Wow,
I love when they come out
pretty...
to me after class. Just tell me about their experience, because sometimes these are kids that I'm only seeing for the first time because they're in grade 9.
Right.
When they come up to me afterwards, it's rewarding that way, because it's like, okay, you know what? I've touched one person. I've inspired somebody.
Yes.
And I have a tendency to say, if I can inspire one person in each of my classes, I've done my job.
No, that's, yeah.
And that applies across the board,
Mm-hmm.
be it the high school and elementary school,
Right.
a regular class,
Yeah.
you know, a crunch class, a Y class,
Right.
whatever it may be. I've done it.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
that I go home with that at night and say, you know what, that was an amazing class. That's what made my day.
Yeah. So it's no wonder that you were named gold winner, Waterloo Region Record Reader's Choice Award
Yes.
in 2019, right?
That was a big surprise. A big surprise, and I couldn't have been more excited and happy for that to happen. Now, to be in a group of studios and gyms and be the one person just by name,
Right.
it was kind of like, wow, this
Yeah.
is surreal.
This is
How
big.
does this happen?
Yeah. Did you ever find out? who
No,
nominated-
I have no idea. I have no clue. I don't know how the process works at all.
Yeah.
I've yet to find out, but I would love to know.
Yeah.
I would love
Well,
to
maybe
know
this
who
is
it
a-
is
could
so
be a
I
shout
can
out.
actually say to that person, whoever that may be,
Yeah.
and for all the people that voted for me, I couldn't have made it there without them. Being able to have that is exciting for me,
Yeah.
and I am so grateful, and I don't want to get emotional. So grateful for everything, for
Yeah.
everybody who voted for me and put me in that position. It was the icing on the cake.
Aw. And I think that comes from your effort of trying to inspire each person in the classroom. And I think that's it comes back, right? What you give, it comes back.
That's
to you.
right. Whatever you
Yeah.
give to the community, you get back.
Yeah, yeah. That's wonderful. What's next for Dianne? What else would you like to achieve?
I think the big thing for me, I've been thinking about for a really long time, is having my own Zumba studio. Having my
Nice.
own Zumba dance studio, Zumba fitness, and having the different kinds of Zumba.
Yeah, you
because
were
there
telling me
isn't
that.
just one
Yeah.
kind of Zumba. We have the regular Zumba that you see.
Yep.
And then we have Zumba toning, which is Zumba with a weight.
Mhm.
And we have Zumba Gold, which is for recovering patients and the elderly.
Right.
People who generally need it a little bit slower because it tends to be a little bit more slow, half tempo sort
Yeah.
of thing. The moves are a little more exaggerated because they're slower.
Right. Okay.
And then there's Aqua Zumba and Zumba Step. Aqua Zumba is Aqua Zumba, so it's in the pool.
Oh wow.
Um,
That would be kind of interesting.
It's fun. It is fun. I believe that's probably going to be my next licensing that I'll be getting is the Aqua Zumba.
Neat.
I already have my Zumba toning and my Zumba Gold.
Okay.
I have thought about getting my Zumba Kids
Mhm.
because I'm at the schools more often. So I think that it's probably be beneficial for me to
Right.
get it.
Right.
But yeah, Aqua Zumba is probably on the top of the list right
Wow.
now.
That's pretty neat. That's
so,
so you
yeah.
want to combine a lot of these into
I want to
kind
make
of a
sure I have all my
full
my-
service. it's
my
almost
full
like.
service,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
because it's I get a little badge on my on my page when that happens. So that this is what I can offer you.
Yeah. And you can help more people.
Yeah.
Like you said, with
Absolutely.
Zumba Gold, you're going to
Zumba
be help a
Gold.
different demographic, right?
Right,
So,
exactly. I think Aqua Zumba would probably be my next step.
okay.
Possibly a studio sometime in the future, hopefully. Zumba convention. This is a long, long dream. But at the Zumba convention, trying to get on to be a presenter at World Stage.
That would be really cool.
That would be the icing on the
the
cake.
cake.
It would be the icing, the buttercream, the sugar, all that.
Let's talk about challenges. Can you tell us a little bit of the challenges that you have as a Zumba teacher that is a little bit different from everyone? When I come into your class first, I'm like, oh, well, that's different.
Right.
Because you expect to go in there and somebody who's like so much more skinny and
And
fitter
fit
than you
and-
are.
yep.
And then you're like, okay, full figure. Wow. Okay, well, she can do it. I can do it. That to me, that was the reaction I initially got.
Right.
It's like, I have no excuses. Right?
Right, exactly. I think the challenges I've encountered is much like that.
Mhm.
The misconception of being a full-figured person and people looking at you going, no, this isn't going to be a workout.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people come in to Zumba thinking that Zumba is not a workout. And that moment is my moment of, okay, let's switch the list up just a little bit, put something a little bit more spicy in there, more energetic, more fitness.
Right.
So that they can see that it is fitness.
Right.
Zumba is fitness.
Right.
There are jumping jacks. There are squats. There are lunges. There's all that business.
Yeah, there are certain songs, your arms up the entire time, or you're in a squat position the entire time. Wow, it's like, that's a big workout. Right?
So, yeah, the challenges are there with that, because people come in with that misconception of you being a little bit bigger, and they're like, there's no way I'm going to get a workout in this. And then you start dancing.
Yeah.
And then that look on their face is kind of like, oh my gosh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So that there's that switch.
Yes.
And a lot of the misconception too, I think, is as an instructor and as being a full-figured instructor.
Right.
I have that in my mind. I hold on to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, this person's going to judge me a little bit. I still have that, even with everything that I've done
and accomplished,
that I still have that little bit of doubt every once in a while. And it's like, you know what? She's not going to want to stay in here. Why is she going to want to stay in here with me? But then, again, there goes that switch, and it's kind of like, no, I am a Zumba instructor, and I can dance, and we're going to dance.
And you're a great Zumba instructor. Let me put it
Thank you.
Like I said, my first class, I was hooked immediately.
Right.
It's just that energy that you transfer to the floor and the rest of the class.
Right.
And we get that. We feel that. And it resonates with us.
That's amazing. Nice to know.
When you first started, did you have any doubt going into something like this that is more demanding on the fitness and all that? Did you have any doubt as you entered into?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There were doubts about, how am I going to get people into my classes? How am I even going to get a class? Am I going to get my own class? It slowly started coming into play, and I started, by hearsay, oh, Dianne, do you want to cover for me for this day?
Yeah, you started with
Dianne,
just
do you want to
covering.
covering? Yep. And it's funny because when I first got my license, I started teaching right away. So I got my license on the Saturday. I started teaching right away on the Monday.
Oh, wow.
But it was volunteer.
Okay. Yeah.
With the YMCA, because with the YMCA, our Zumba instructors here in Cambridge are volunteer. So I started volunteering. That's how I got into it.
Right.
But yeah, there was definitely some doubt and, that holding me back. I'm like, no, I can't do this. And then it was like, yeah, you know what? It'll come. You just have to be patient.
Okay, yes. I was going to say, how did you transition and overcome that?
I used the YMCA because it was volunteer. I thought, okay, somebody's going to see you in a class. You're going to go into someone else's class, and they're going to see your way of teaching, and they're going to ask you. And that's what happened. I went to the YMCA, and there was somebody from a studio there who asked me if I would like to teach at that studio.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And so I went in, and I did the audition, and it was great. And that's essentially how I got into Crunch, too. I went in, I did my interview. And the interview was an actual class. You go in and you teach 2 songs. Yeah. And, you go and you teach, and it was amazing. Yeah. And so that's how I got into Crunch. So it's by hearsay, right? You go in, someone sees you. And I always say to everybody who is a Zumba instructor, and outside of Zumba, because it applies to life too, is you never know who's watching. So with that said, you put in 100% all the time, because you never know what opportunity is going to come knocking at your door. So be it at the Y or Crunch, wherever you're teaching, someone's going to see it, and they're going to say, you know what, I want her to come, or I want him to come to my class, or I want to go to his Zumba class or her Zumba class.
Well said. So no matter what kind of doubt you had and uncertainty you had inside, you always told yourself that I'm going to put out my 100%.
Absolutely.
Right? Because that's where potential opportunities can come from.
You never know.
You never know.
You never know.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's
what drives us, right?
Yeah.
You have to be able to kind of push through and get through that self-talk that sometimes
Selfconsciousness,
we have.
right?
Yes. And that negative little tidbit in the back of your mind, and it's like, no, let's not go there.
Right.
Let's progress.
Right. Okay, so we've gotten to a point in our program called the In Search of True Fulfillment.
Okay.
Within that, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and
Okay.
we're going to keep it short, but we're going to get to your thoughts around these topics in about one sentence or 10 seconds.
Okay.
How would you define success?
Success is happiness. It's passion for what you do. It's being able to inspire someone on a daily, be it mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever that may be, by sharing your story.
Nice. So I was going to ask you what happiness means to you, but I think you explained that really well there too.
Yeah, absolutely. Happiness,
Yeah.
like I said,
Yeah.
it's
Very nice.
it's being able to do all those things, to
Right.
be inspired and to inspire. All of that, just it fills your heart, and you're able to walk away with it with a smile on your face and be like, yep, I accomplished that today. Let's go.
Love that. If there's one thing for the listener to take away from today's story to help them ignite and harvest their own inner sparks, what would it be?
Never give up. Always stay positive. Surround yourself with people who appreciate that positivity. Surround yourself with people who want to be able to take that in and inspire others as well. I think it's really important as human beings for us to be able to say to someone, you're not alone.
Yes.
You are driven, you are confident, you are strong, you're not alone. Just keep going.
Right.
I think that's the main thing that I can say about this whole experience for me is just keep going, because you never know who's watching.
Love it. Love it. I want to thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
For being on this interview, and I certainly feel that you are my inspiration on some of the internal sparks that I didn't know I had.
Amazing.
Right? So I appreciate everything. Thank you so much for joining us and telling your story.
Thank you for having me again. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for tuning in to all the episodes in 2019. I would like to wish everyone Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Here's to many more empowering and inspiring episodes in the year 2020. See you next year. Your thoughts on this episode is encouraged on all our social media sites, which are listed in the podcast description. We'll have some engaging questions on the social media sites about topics touched upon within this podcast, where you can interact with one another. Feel free to share your own related experiences, what you have learned from this podcast, and what you will take away as actions. While we understand not everyone will agree on each topic, please always exercise mutual respect as we interact with one another. This network is a safe place for everyone to learn and grow. If you have any feedback on this podcast, the social media sites, and this network as a whole, please feel free to email me at ourinnersparks@gmail.com. ourinnersparks@gmail.com. Should you or someone in your life have an inspiring story you would like to see shared in our network, please feel free to email me with a nomination for future features. Again, the email is ourinnersparks@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to this episode of Our Inner Sparks Featured Stories.